8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. People of the world, hello and welcome to Marketing as a Foreign Language, episode 201. I'm not as cool as Vanessa. Do you want to know why? Do you really? The reason is that she's on episode 300 and something. I can't compete. She also quit her job. Oh my gosh. Do you know how happy that makes me? It makes me so happy. She's got an incredible Facebook page. It's all about the community. She's got it. And what does she do again? Oh, yeah. She helps 9-to-5ers who have already started that entrepreneurial journey, already created a company, not jump off a bridge. You understand me? These people are stressed. They're stressed out, man, and they need help. And that comes in the form of the one, the only Vanessa Zamy. Last time on the show, we got a little bit of her background. Haitian mother, immigrated obviously from Haiti to, I want to say, New York somewhere. Ends up in Boston, mind you. Very exciting stuff. So we're going to pick up on the life story, but we're also going to get a sense of what she's been up to and the quitting of the job. Ladies and gentlemen, we've lost her video feed and she's back. It's Vanessa.
Hello. Yes, happy to
my.
be here.
Unbelievable. So the big news is you did it. You made the jump. So are you in free fall or do you have a parachute?
Oh, I'm not sure what the difference is, but I mean, I guess I'm in free fall. I don't know. I guess parachute. No, I'm stable. So parachute, as in I have something holding me. I guess I don't know.
Is this analogy throwing you? I feel like the analogy is throwing you. Like I don't like the analogy, Kellen. Just a different analogy. No, it's huge. I love it. And here's my ridiculous take on it. Even if even if it goes poorly, man, everything happens for a good reason. So I'm just proud of the jump.
Indeed. And for me, in terms of for those people who have already started their business, right, and you're thinking about quitting, etc., I really urge you to consider why it is that you're quitting and the reason why. Because I built my business while doing my day job, and I encourage my people to do that, my clients and people follow me to do that, because at the end of the day, it just leads to less financial stress. And when you are not financially stressed, you can make actual clear decisions as a CEO of your business, as opposed to decisions that are like, I need money now, OMG, right? You don't want those decisions. Those aren't decisions that isn't the mental headspace that you should be in as a CEO of your company, because it just leads to poor decisions. And so that's why I always encourage people, when you can, yes, you have that great idea for your business, lovely, keep the day job, one. And then two, for capital, right? A lot of people are like, oh, I need money. Guess what? Your day job is money. Like your day job is literally could be funding your business. And so use it as such, right? Use it as, maybe you have to cut back from life. Maybe you don't do your nails as much. Maybe you like don't, whatever it is that you need to do, right? But maybe you have to like cut back on, instead of doing your nails every week, you do it every month, right? So that you can take in some of that income and use it to invest back into your business. But at the end of the day, your day job is funding your business, because your business is not going to make money day one, despite all the many things you might be seeing on the web. 6 figures, 6 days, whatever, all those things. There is a build up to that point, right? Maybe one day you'll get to 6 figures in 6 days, but there is a build up to get to that point, right? And that build up is not 2 seconds. The build up is not, you walk to your boss office like, I have a great idea for a business, I quit now, bye. Like, no, that's not how that works. And so it's all about being intentional, strategic about how it is that you make that transition, so that you can, I guess, I don't know if it's parachute or free fall, into your life without the day job.
There's someone in my life who kept referring to her business as crawling through glass. She's like, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, do that. Do what I've done. I always feel like there are probably businesses out there that are, how do I explain this? Like, it's a great idea. Don't tell anyone your idea. Right. Oh, it's the best idea. And then there's a lot of people who haven't made any money, who are unsuccessful entrepreneurially, who are like that. They're like, oh, I got this amazing idea, but I don't want to share it with anybody. Like, to me, that is such a sign of, it's like amateur hour when I hear people say that. Now, I could be judging, be ridiculous, because maybe some guy out there has the magical idea. But in my experience, people that talk like that are just, they don't understand the depth of it. They don't understand that the grind is real. The marathon is real. Mm-hmm. It takes a long time. At least in my experience, I'm on year 4 of my business, and through pandemic and everything else. And then what it does transformatively to the soul, you have to understand too, because when you have people's lives in your hand, when you start hiring people and you're in charge of putting food on their table, it can be very, very stressful. And when an employee mindset, you go, this couldn't possibly be worse than this. Right? At least that's what I was like when I was like an employee. I was like, man, but I just wanted to be the boss. I really did. But now that I'm boss, I'm like, yeah, I get it. Stress is real.
But there are ways to be an effective leader. I don't know if we're going to get to that right now, but essentially,
we can talk about being an effective leader.
I would say for me, at least, when I was doing I've been interested in this whole phase where I was interested in leadership theory and this whole thing. But essentially, I've been sort of a leader, quote unquote, of either my day job or different extracurricular activities ever since I was in high school. Right. And so I've been very intentional about building up my leadership skills, because for me, I was like, that's always going to be the end goal. I'm always going to be a great lead other people and lead a team. And there's even I remember in college, there was this 1 year time during college where I was just I literally just read all the leadership books. I was successful habits of literally I was in a leadership intensive. I even then became one of the facilitators of leadership intensive. I was obsessed with leadership theory. And for me, it's whenever I get involved in either a board or extracurricular activity or even just at work, I'm always looking for my opportunities to be that leader, to lead other people and inspire them. Hence why I probably make a good coach. But with that being said, when it comes to leadership, it was it's one of those things where, yes, there are bad leaders. And that's part of the reason why part of my corporate experience wasn't so good, because I was just looking around wait a second, how are there so many bad leaders? I didn't literally I entered corporate America and I was just I don't get how there's so many bad leaders.
It's a cliche.
There's so much information out there to be a good leader that I just don't understand how they're a bad leader.
It is a cliche that bosses suck. I mean, come on. I mean, that's a tale as old as time. But it's
it just shouldn't be, and it's sad. But
Lord above. I mean, I don't know. It's okay, I'll put it to you this way. When I was growing up, I, as a student, was these teachers are terrible. They are awful, objectively awful, terrible, bad. And then I started my first year as a teacher, and I was like, oh no. Oh no. These kids, some of these kids, this is the thing about teaching. I guarantee you, there are countless teachers out there that just every night are if I could just have this classroom without that kid in my classroom.
Oh yeah, of course.
And they're not. You're never supposed to say that. It's heaven forbid you ever mention that. It's not okay in the world of teaching to be if this kid wasn't in my class, this class would be so much fun and it'd be better for everybody. And and so there are different leadership styles. There's leadership style of, okay, you have to deal with it no matter what. It's this is the population, right? And you just have to deal with that population. And then there's the coach leadership or the business leader, which is
Caroline. I saw her note. She's those kids are never absent either.
Caroline in chat, writes those kids are never absent either. No, perfect attendance. But in the world of being a coach, you just bench them, right? Or in the analogy of being a business owner, you just fire them, right? So these are different worlds.
There are different worlds. And for me, it's I give people a lot of chances. And so for me, it's I'm not the person I'm just going to one day fire you. You'll know if you're on the route to being fired, because I'll give you a heads up. I'll be hey, listen, by the way, this is what I'm thinking through. You got about a week, 2 weeks. Okay, you're done. And so, and I literally I fired people. I fired even earlier this year, I had to let someone go of the team. She wasn't performing. She understood. She owed me a wonderful review on just my leadership experience, on my leadership for her team, right? And so it was because we were all clear, we understand what's happening, tough decisions have to be made, but it's business at the end of the day, right? And so if you don't perform, you don't perform.
No, that's absolutely true. And then what ends up happening, and what this is the hard lesson I'd learned over years is, look, if I don't fire that person, if I don't let that person go, I am punishing the rest of my team.
Yes.
I'm punishing them because I've been in that company where I'm why is this person still here? Why is this person still here? Why? It's on a basketball team, you throw the ball, they're smoking weed, right? Dude's literally inhaling weed on the court, throwing the ball. The guy, I'm bro, he's high at work every day. And it's affecting the quality of his work, And then I'm supposed to score all the points and have us win. right? And I only have a teammate that can shoot a three. He's too busy like smoking. Like it's crazy. And I've been in those
even it
situations.
impacts yourself, like it impacts team people, but it also even impacts yourself as a leader, because now you're putting this mental energy towards this person who's not performing, and you're just like sitting there and you keep just thinking about this person, and it's just not productive thoughts. Like it's just not productive thoughts that you should be having in your day, right? And it's just sad. Yeah.
It is super frustrating. And leaders that can't, or leaders that want to be everybody's friend all the time. I had that problem. So I was 23 when I was teaching at high school. And so there were like 17, 18-year-olds, seniors. I'm like, I'm not that different from these people. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a 5-year difference, right? And so it was very weird at times because I would find this desire, like I want everyone to like me, like this whole sort of thing when you're young, like now I'm like, nah, bro. Like we have other things we're going for, and like whether or not you like me is kind of like pretty low on the totem pole in regards to whether or not we're gonna win, because we want to win and make money and I don't know, feed our families, just basic stuff. So anyway, yeah, no, I mean I would sit there and I would see I won't mention names, but this dude would show up. He'd literally shut his office door and work on his own projects for probably like 60-70% of the day. And then he would like show up to a meeting, make some comments, whatever. But he literally wasn't doing anything. I couldn't believe it. I was like, this dude is literally not doing anything. And he was like best buds with the boss, talk about sports, this and that, do lunch, and it's cool.
That's how he kept his job.
That's how he kept his job. That's how he just kept bringing it in, And I was just like, okay, not at my job ever, never gonna happen.
Yeah. I hope to also like practice that in terms of yes, we're friends, but
you can be look, you can be super friendly, you know what I mean? And you can have great friends. Like there's actually something that I would argue is better than it's different. It's different when you're on a championship team and you're winning and you're progressing up the ranks. That's, you know what I mean? Like a teammate is different than like a friend. A friend is the person you go talk to about your team, right? Where you're like, it's driving me crazy, this person, that's a friend, right? So it's not, there's nothing wrong with like not being a friend with like employees and stuff like that. It's like, no, you're team members and you all have a common goal and you're aiming for that goal, and you can be super friendly and all that sort of stuff, but you're not going to call each other and vent about work.
Yeah, but if it's one of those things where it's, yes, you're friends, but if it's, I'm thinking about in terms of the performance level, right? If yes, you're all friends, but obviously if it's like someone is not performing, it's just a friendly discussion. And this is a friendly discussion of like, hey, now my friendly discussion means that I bring in a little bit of that New York City, like, hey, that people don't like sometimes, but but it works in business. So with that being said, it's like you sit down with the person like, yeah, my kids are great. Yeah, sports. Yeah, soccer. Yeah. So about that project you were supposed to be working on, what's happening?
That's right. Due yesterday. But that's just it. Like that's the subtext of everything. And everything else is just softening them up to do that. So to me, that's not a friend, right? It's just fundamentally different. Because at the end of the day,
yes.
Right? Because at the end of the day, it's like a friend is, I can go talk about this stuff that's driving me crazy and not feel like I have to censor myself, because they have their skin in the game is me feeling better, right? That's their ultimate goal. And in a business, that's never the ultimate goal. It's just to make someone feel better, right? The ultimate goal is to,
well, this is your customer.
No, well, I'm talking about my relationship with team members, right?
Yeah,
If I'm the coach and they're playing and we're all playing whatever, or like if I'm the center in the basketball team, you can have a really profound relationship, but you're not friends. This is the point I'm trying to make is that because sometimes when people talk about leadership being lonely, that's exactly what they're talking about, because you're not friends. Not in the sense that you could go and like talk about all the stuff going on at work and it wouldn't have a profound effect on their life.
Yeah, that's true.
You can't do it. It doesn't, So anyway, leaders, have friends. I know you don't want to. I know you're busy.
Leaders.
That's what I'm saying. Exactly.
For other leaders.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like find a community of other people that are in a leadership role and be friends with those people. Because within an organization, employees can be friends. They can be super friendly and kind of develop that. But I guess that is different too. Anyway, so let me ask you this. So last time we we got as far as Boston. So you're only 12 years old. So we do want to come back to that. But I want folks to understand that you're building a community, and I want to talk about that. So how did you build a community of 1,100 people on Facebook?
Yeah, so I started my community summer of 2020 and called Skyrocket Your Side Business with Vanessa Zamy community. And when I started that community, essentially my whole thing was to get a bunch of people in there, to then I was going to host like my 5-day boot camp, my 5-day Skyrocket Your Side Business boot camp. So like challenges maybe people have heard of or whatever it may be that you've heard of. Right. And so I was going to do that. And so that was essentially the intention of the group. And so it was in 3.5 weeks. I ended up getting, it was 170 people into the group just via like messaging people, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I was on all the messages. I was DMing people. I also still had my day job at the same time. There was a family death that I was dealing with on the other side of the country as well too. And in the 3.5 weeks, I made them happen. I ended up getting my sleep in the process too. So it was more sleep because I was dealing with the whole grieving and stuff too. But essentially, with that being said, got the group to that point, had the boot camp end of July. Because the boot camp date, I put it for like literally the last week of July. So I only had from July 1st to like July 20 something to actually get the group going. And so there was that. So then once I exhausted my existing network, essentially of people, I then who were interested in, at least somewhat related to business entrepreneurship, then it was a path of doing more sort of organic outreach in other Facebook groups to find and meet other people. Right. And so I did that. And then I found that I also another boot camp in September. And then I found that, the people weren't really my audience. And this is just like a whole process of marketing, right? It's like at the end of the day, there's quality and there's quantity, right? And when it comes to marketing, a lot of people focus on, like for example, I had one client, she had like 3,500 followers on Instagram, right? But then I asked the question, okay, how many of these people are actually even interested in podcasts to even begin with? And she was like,
right.
like 5 to 10. I was like, that's not helpful. Like, that's not helpful because you're trying to release something related to podcast things to 3,500 people who have no interest at all. Right. So not helpful. And versus if she had like 200 people who are interested in podcasts, that's a whole nother story. And so, but essentially for me, my group, I realized that was happening for my group. So then it became a whole discussion of, okay, how do I get the people who actually like need my service and actually know about it and understand business consulting. And, they're at that point. Cause my whole thing is like, yes, the people starting a business, amazing, love it. Right. But I want to get the people before they quit. I want to get people, essentially my whole thing is around working with that person who is like, you've been doing that business and it's just not working the way you want it to. And you're struggling and you're just like, I don't get it. Why not me? I had this purpose. I want to set an example for my kids. I want to build this legacy, but I'm not getting consistent income stream. I'm like stressed out trying to make this happen with work. I'm staying up until 3 a.m. every day and it's just not working. And it's causing me more harm than good. Oh, guess I got to quit the business. Unfortunately, that's what the person says versus how do I make this better? Right. And so I want to get the person before they decide to quit their business, because that point, like when someone has started their business and you're moving forward in it and you've been working on your purpose, right, so that you still give it a try time and time again, that means that you're meant to do it. Right. That means that you have found what it is that you're meant to be put on this earth for. And there's no reason why you should stop. There's no reason why you should quit. And so for me, essentially then I pivoted into then doing Facebook ads, which then worked out well for me. Now, what I will say, my history of Facebook ads is that before I even started my group, I had like tried out Facebook ads and it didn't work for me. When I say it didn't work for me though, and I say that because there are people probably listening, like, I tried Facebook ads, it hasn't worked for me. And for me, Facebook ads didn't work for me at that time. Now, when I did the Facebook ads, I called my experiment with ads. And that's really the only reason why I even started my Facebook business page was to do Facebook ads, like literally, because that's what I was told I needed to do. So when I did the Facebook ads, it didn't work. And I realized, like, you know what? Facebook ads are complicated. Like, Facebook is like trying to make an ad work on Facebook is just like very complicated. Like it's one of those things where I could sit there and maybe I could learn a whole course situation. I tried it. Like I did the whole, like a 1-month course on like how to do retargeting and all this other stuff. And I was just like, I don't want to devote my time and energy to this. Like, I do not want to become a Facebook ads expert.
That's
like,
just
no,
it. Is like, so first of all, shout out to Lisa. That's my aunt. She's in chat.
Oh, Lisa said very impressive. Oh, thank you, Lisa. Appreciate it.
Shout out to Lisa Lang coming to us from bitterly cold Minnesota. So, okay, here's the thing. Fluency in a language. Okay. I spent ever since I was 13, I've been studying Spanish. My Spanish is really good for a gringo, right? Like it's solid. It's impressive. But I've dedicated just unbelievable number of hours to getting to that fluency in the language, right? I speak 一点中文, like a pinch of Mandarin, like enough to impress Chinese people. Like, what? But like, I don't even have the, say what now?
你好, that's all I got.
你好吗? 很好, 谢谢. So it's one of those things where like I don't even have the energy like anymore. Like between Spanish, even like staying relevant. Because here's the thing, I could give up Spanish for like 3 years and go focus all on Mandarin, but now my Spanish is getting worse. Like it could come back, whatever, but it's like, man, there's only so many muscles you can flex. There's only so many exercises you can do. There's only so many hours in a day. And the other thing too is you're gonna chill. Okay, like, hey, person out there, like, you're gonna for like 2 hours sit there and not want to do anything at the end of the night. Like, you're gonna want to watch Netflix, read the book, chill. There's gonna be chill time too, right? You can't just say, every moment of my life I'm gonna be super productive, because you're burnt out. You're gonna burn out. It's too much.
Indeed, and that happens to a lot of entrepreneurs. They burn out, right? Once they make it out of their bedroom in their little corner with their idea, and then they decide to share it with the world. Then they just do all the stuff, right? And I call it like the jogging in place. They're just doing a lot of things, but it's not moving them forward. They're sweating, they're dehydrated, their arms are hurting, their legs are hurting, they're running, but they haven't moved anywhere because they're jogging in place. They're practically on the treadmill. And unfortunately, that, with that, at some point you're gonna burn yourself to pass out on the ground. And then there you go, unfortunately. And that also happens with a lot of entrepreneurs. Until then, they either stop their business, they stop their day job, they retreat back into their bedroom or whatever it may be. And it's actually a really sad story. That's actually a really sad story. But when it comes to, for me, for Facebook ads, I was just like, I mean, I could, if I wanted to, learn Facebook ads and devote the time, but I really don't want to. Like,
this is the point. Exactly. It's like you just, you got to throw your hands up at some point and just go, you know what? This is not something that I'm going to dedicate my time to.
Exactly. And I said that, but I did realize, I was like, okay, I'm not going to devote my time to it, but I know that Facebook ads could move me forward in some direction, in some way. So at some point in time in the business, it will be useful for me to implement it. Okay, cool. So I made that decision. And then fast forward, it's not until, I think it ended up being, month 4, and then not until 6 months later that I then said, okay, I'm now ready to devote more time to Facebook ads. Great. I'm a hire Facebook ads contractor. And I literally was just looking for Facebook ads experts. And that's voila, they were hired. But then because I had done the work in understanding my business, because also part of ads is the more you understand your business better, the better it will be for you. The ads started working day 1 because I just understood my business. And so I understood my offer, I understood my audience as well too. And so that was also pretty great in terms of this great timing, in terms of when the contract came on. And at the time that I understood my business. And then through there, the group ended up just rapidly increasing and got itself to 1,100.
Yeah. I owned a property in St. Paul that I rented out, and a property in North Las Vegas that I rented out. And I was a landlord for, I don't know, a year, 2 years, something like that. And I learned just how crappy it is. I mean, it's awful, 2 o'clock phone calls, this, that, there's always something wrong,
Yeah.
And so when I found a property manager for $90 a month, I'm like, yeah, you do that for sure. So the point being that if you dabble in Facebook ads, it'll help you hire, and it'll help you judge the efficacy of the people that you're hiring for that.
They have more informed discussions.
Exactly. You're not just is it working? You actually can talk about it. And the other thing too is people don't realize that this isn't like property manager. Property manager is very easy in the sense of it's a house, collect the rent, end of story. But for a brand, their Facebook ads people are like, do you have YouTube videos? What do you want to focus on? They have questions for you. They really want to make the ads convert at a high level. Can you develop a landing page? Are you the face of the brand? Is this the Vanessa show, or should we be focusing on something else? Is there any sort of giveaway that you'd be interested in doing? Is there, free this, free that? Can they sign up for an email for whatever reason, ebook? What can we give it? It's really involved.
It is.
And then you get to demographic targeting. Who specifically is the demographic you want to hit? Do you want to focus on a certain geographic area for a certain period of time? Do you ever want to expand beyond that? And on and on and on. So,
and now that person actually, that contractor, we worked for a good couple of months. Then I had to let him go. Why? Because we were differing in strategic. Once I went to a different strategic direction, he didn't have the skills to support. So, and we realized that, and we were like, okay, the end. So then I hired someone else who actually had the skills to support me in my new strategic direction. So you also have that ebbs and flows when it comes to leadership and team building within your company.
That's true. Let's push your narrative forward a little bit so we can get further down the line for next episode. So you're Boston, you're 12, and then what happens in Boston at 12?
What happens in Boston at 12? Let's see. New school. Oh, okay. So essentially so by the time that we actually got to Boston, and it was like, had to sign me up for the school. We were literally, I think it was like 2-3 weeks before school started. And so they kind of just, I realized this because it was me and some other people where we ended up in a situation where they essentially, Boston had, I don't know if they still have it, but they kind of had this, I don't know, I forget what it was called, but like a hybrid model. So it's like people who are mentally disabled along with people who are not mentally disabled, I guess, who have mental, like whatever. So who aren't. Yeah. And so they put them together in a room. And the idea was to for everyone to learn from each other, was the idea there. And so I got put in that class along with some other people as well too. Cause I realized the pattern. I was like, oh, when did you move to Boston? When did you move to Boston? Oh, you just moved? Oh, so I realized that was the pattern, was that eventually people who had just signed up, they were the last to sign up for school, ended up in that class. And so then from there, was in that situation for a year. And it was great. It was awesome. I, attended a Paralympics event in the region, and cause it was me paired with someone else in the classroom. And that was a really great experience as well too. Just got some volunteering in there. And some other things as well happened that year. But then from there, during that year, this would be one of the times in my life when someone would give me information that would then actually help me move forward in a great direction. But one of the teachers in that class, she was like, oh, did you take this ISEE exam? And at the time I was like, IS who exam? What are you talking about? She was like, well, there's 3 schools in a Boston public school district that are more, I guess, kind of magnet level, what we call magnet level in New York City, but essentially it's you have to take a test to get into the school and reach a certain score to get into the school. And so that's what she was telling me about. And I was like, all right. And then I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Right. So then she told me that information. And then she ended up telling me literally a few weeks before the test would need to be taken. And so then I took the test, and then I got accepted for 2 years later. I would then get accepted into a school that was more, I guess, a college prep type of school. So I ended up going to that public school for 4 years. But yeah, so I was but essentially the school that I ended up in as my first public school when I was 12, it was not only that class experience, but also that school was also set to shut down in 2 years because they had a lot of experiences with drug dealers and prostitution and jail and all that jazz in that school that I was in. And so it was set to shut down in 2 years. So they were kind of weeding people out as well in terms of enrolling. I think we were the last set of kids to be enrolled into that grade that year as well too. And so that was interesting, but it was because of that I then was able to find out about this exam, find out this other school, et cetera, et cetera. But the next year, I did end up graduating my middle school in that first school, because in the next year they put me in a class with people who aren't mentally disabled, everyone fully, et cetera. And so that was good too. Met some new friends there who then taught me a lot about confidence that year. So that was fun. And then went to the college prep high school in Boston. And then what else happened there? And then, and then where I was then, what happened? Yeah, did some schooling, all that stuff, graduated.
Yeah. So we can pick up there for next time, but so we'll get a sense of the college prep. But I think that in your backstory, we're going to uncover some leadership bits. I want to pick up on some entrepreneurial stuff. And then I'm really curious about your day job experience. We'll get into that too, because I want to know, because it's almost like when you're talking to these people who are really trying to create their business, I don't want to say the day job's the enemy, but it is kind of like the dragon that you eventually want to slay. You know what I mean? It's and you're saying no, ride the dragon for a while. Like it's fine. It's fine. Just make sure that when you finally get off the thing, you're actually somewhere where you're not in a swamp. You're on stable footing. But ladies and gentlemen, Marketing as a Foreign Language, 10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, live on the YouTube machine, youtube.com/Send It Rising is the easiest way to get there. If you're listening to us like most folks do after the fact, we still love you. iTunes and Spotify are some of the podcast platforms that you can download us, as well as about 10 others, also streaming on the Facebook page. Like us on Facebook, Send It Rising. I want to give Vanessa the last word here today. It's been a good time, obviously. Vanessa, what do you have to say to the fine folks?
Oh, man. We talked about a lot. I would say essentially treat others as you wish to be treated.
Wow. Coming in with the Jesus vibes. Well,
that's
it was
the key
Easter.
to leadership. Just treat others the way you wish to be treated.
That's
honestly.
Right. There you go. It's that simple, ladies and gentlemen. All right. That's the show for today. We appreciate y'all stopping by, and we will see you next time.